So let's get straight into it, shall we? This week's record club is with Ella Henderson. Welcome along.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I have been, like I mentioned to you earlier, listening to the album in my room. I actually got sent this just before release as well, so I felt really sneaky. Dived straight into all the lyrics in there as well. I've got them all out here, and I was just like singing along, doing my best Ella. How has it been for you?
Do you know what? I feel like it's just been such a long time coming. I mean, I've worked on this record and album for like nearly 8 years. So to finally have it out and to be able to share it with the world, share it with my fans, and ultimately just for me to get it out, it just feels like a real personal achievement. I was really nervous because I feel like I've really opened up on this record, and there's sides, I guess, that I've never opened up and spoken about before. But ultimately, I just feel so, yeah, like it just feels very surreal at the moment, knowing that it's out there.
So they say that every single cell in your body over 7 years will have changed. So essentially, like physically, you are a whole new human. And this is like almost 8 years in the making. It just must feel so crazy, like thinking back at when you first started in music.
Yeah, it does feel really bizarre. I think anyone that knows my journey from the beginning, I was 16 years old when I did X Factor. And then I signed my record deal. And then 2 years on from that, I released my first single, Ghost, which shot to #1, and then had the album out, and that was #1 as well. And I think it's really bizarre for me because it's obviously that was 10 years ago. Now I'm sat here at 26 years old, and I don't think I realized how young I was until I actually think about it now, because I look at my nephew and he's 15 years old, and I'm like, oh my God, in a year's time, like letting him go on a TV show and sing every Saturday and Sunday night is just bizarre.
Oh my God.
But do
Yeah,
you know what?
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
it was an amazing process for me. And I just think it was never an intentional thing either for me to take this long for this album. Obviously, the first one had a lot of success. And then when I came back after those 2 or 3 years of promoting it, I realized I had nothing to write about that was relatable. I just felt like my life had just like gone crazy, but I felt like everything that I write about is very personal, very, like heartfelt. And I just felt like I needed to live a bit. I needed to make some mistakes, live a bit, catch up with my friends. They were all at uni at this point, get my first sofa in my flat. Like I didn't really feel like London was home because I'm a northerner. So do you know what? I just felt like I needed to find my feet a little bit as a human being and as a young woman, aside from like my career.
Yeah, yeah. So on this album, I mean, you've had time. Which is the oldest song on here? Like, which was the first one that was written?
It would either be, I think it's Ugly or Brave, on this record. Probably, I'm going to say Ugly, I think. This song I wrote years ago. I mean, I wrote this song when I was 21. Yeah, I was 21 years old. So 5 years ago, I wrote this song, and it's one of my favorites from the whole album. And the reason I had to carry it over, and we reworked the production a little bit on it, and the reason I had to have it a part of the album is just because writing for me anyway is like my form of therapy. But having this song on the album, like this song was definitely a transition moment where it just was a song that helped me empower myself. It helped me see a different side to something. It helped me feel more comfortable in my own skin. Ugly, literally, if you listen to the lyrics, like the opening lyrics is too thin, too smart, Monday don't fit in my jeans, stretch marks. And that is literally me on a weekly basis. Like I can have highs, lows, and literally I can feel the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I just relate to it so much that I was like, this song can't possibly like just get buried and never see the light of day. Like it has to be on the album. So I felt super passionate about that.
Yeah, it's one of those themes that sadly still resonates, and I mean, it's not like new, but like you mentioned, it was the first one that's on there and it's still relevant. And there was a line in it, it says, "One day I'm beautiful and then I'm ugly." And I feel like that is just how pretty much everyone, no matter how the outside world sees them, like that's how people can feel just generally.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the biggest message of that song for me, and for me to myself anyway, is the fact that it's okay to feel like that. You know, we're not meant to be these perfect human beings that get everything right and that feel amazing every single day. Like life is a roller coaster of emotions, and that's pretty normal. And I think for me to realize that in the job that I do at a young age, it took me a while to get my head around it. And I still am on a constant journey with learning how to like give myself a bit more self-love, because we need to, I think, especially in this day and age. And we see so much stuff on social media through rose-tinted glasses, and we compare ourselves to other people. And I think my biggest mistake, well, not a mistake, but something that I really don't like, that I used to do a lot of, was I'd compare my life to the timing of others. And I think it's so important to try and not do that and trust the timing of your own life. And one of my favorite lyrics in the song Ugly is actually in the second pre-chorus. It says, "It's time to have the time of our lives." And if there's any message I want to give to my fans, or when anyone comes to a show of mine and a gig, like, that's literally what it's about. It's about being present in the moment, not worrying about what lies ahead, not regretting the past, just living in the moment and being yourself, and knowing that you are enough.
I love that you could have a song that's called Ugly, and like, yeah, you have this like amazing like smiley moment in it. So good. Have you had anyone sort of approach you with their own stories? Because I feel like with themes like this, where you're getting really vulnerable, it kind of makes people want to share as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think because me myself, I've gone on my own personal journey, especially over the last 2 or 3 years, with like my own struggles with mental health and anxiety, and I opened up a lot about that when I came into my first single off the album with Brave, and it was the first time I ever opened up and publicly spoke about it, and it honestly felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders, because I felt as though it was maybe like a secret to me and not to my fans and not to the people that follow me. And I am really happy that I've done that, because I literally just did some album signings this weekend just gone, and some of the fans that came, there was one particular guy that turned up, and he came with him and his friend, and he pulled me to one side at the end of the show, and I was signing his album for him, and he was like, "I just want to say, like, I never come to social situations. It really sparks and triggers my anxiety so bad. And on the way here and up the stairs, I had a really bad wobble and an anxiety attack. But then as soon as I got in the room and you came out and you started singing, like, it all went." And he really, really related a lot to the songs. And and his mum was telling me that, like, he wouldn't be here without these songs. And I just find that, like, just so crazy to me, because it's just like, these songs helped me, but to know that they can help someone else is like another thing.
Oh God, you're going to set me off. I get emotional from these things.
No, but it is really cool. And I think I've noticed, to be honest, with this new record, there's quite a bit of that. I think any young girl has like grabbed my hand and just been like, "Thank you, like, I need these songs like in my bedroom," and like they just relate. And I think that's exactly what it's for. Like, I don't want to, like, I don't want to have any kind of false pretense. There's no filters with me. Like, everything's very honest. Probably it's sometimes too honest. And that is just how it is. That's how I write. And I just wanted to really feel like I was giving everything back to my fans. It's been so long.
Has there been a fan favourite or a surprising fan favourite since the album's dropped for you?
I think I've really noticed, like, I did my album launch literally last night here in London, and I did my first big show back with a full live band, and all the fans were there, family, friends, and yeah, close friends and stuff. And it was a really intimate show, and I noticed everyone knew Ugly, like, word for word, which went down really well. And that meant a lot to me, because that song's such a personal record to me. And also Good Things Take Time off the album, which is actually a bit more of like it's more of a dancier disco bop on the album. It's like probably the most up-tempo track on there. And yeah, all the fans just loved it. They were all like belting out Good Things Take Time, like the catchphrase at the end of each song and the hook and everything. And it's funny, because when I even wrote that record, for me, that song was always for the fans, because I feel as though I made them wait so long unintentionally. I feel like good things do come to those who wait, and this is like my gift to them. So yeah, we all just proper got into it last night. So those two songs I feel like are probably resonating with the fans at the moment.
Oh my God, I love that. I also there was another one that I loved, which I've written out somewhere. Sorry That I Miss You. So I was listening to this, and I think, I don't know why, like, just when I listen, a lot of the time when you talk about relationships, you think like love interest. And then this was like the first time I was listening to it, and then I was listening to it a bit more, and I was like, actually, this reminds me a lot of how I am with some of my friends, that I get angry at them, but it's mostly because I haven't seen them, because I want to see them and hang out with them more.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that one for you?
I mean, I wrote this song actually. I mean, it's so funny. Sorry That I Miss You. I related to so much during the lockdown because there were so many people I missed at that time. But I actually wrote this at the time when I was actually in a relationship, and it's when it was in a previous relationship, and my career just kind of took me everywhere, and I was often not able to be like physically present most of the time within our relationship, and I really struggled with that and found it really hard. And even though it was me that was always doing the traveling, I would be the one to end up taking it out on the other person. And I thought it'd just be quite refreshing to hear a woman opening up and saying, well, actually, yeah, sometimes it is me. I'm not just going to blame it all on the other person, and I'm not this perfect human being either. Because yeah, when I do have a little bit to drink, I can get a bit like open mouthed and start saying what I actually think, and all the truth pours out. And half the time it just means because I care and because I love you that much, that like otherwise you wouldn't hear from me. And also I've had fans come up to me and say, oh my God, Sorry That I Miss You is the song that's me and my ex. Like when I get drunk, I end up drunk texting him, and I wish I didn't. And it's really funny because everyone's got like their own interpretation of the record.
Yeah, I also love the melodies, and me trying to sing along to them is really bad, so I'm just not going to do it now. But also like just the melodies throughout the whole album. I always find with like a pop record, it always surprises me how artists like yourself can find new ways and new sounds and new catchy hooks and everything. So how is it that you like to work when you're working out how a song is eventually going to sound?
I think ultimately everything always comes from like, first of all, like an emotion. So if I'm really happy, sad, angry that day, like that's what's going to happen. My first thing to do is I always have ideas, whether it's in the car, in the shower, on the loo, believe it or not. And
Which song was written on the loo?
so many ideas. I don't actually write them on the loo though. I voice note quick, or I'll get to my phone. And what I'll then do is sit on my piano at home, go through my voice notes, and then try and like lash out, okay, what is it that I'm trying to say? And then that day I'll go into the studio, and the whole song will happen. But I always like to come off an actual concept. I don't like to start writing a song unless I know what I'm feeling and I tap into that. So that's often how it's born, and then the music is the last thing to come. Normally I start with like a lyrical concept, then a melody, and then I'll start building up the production if I want it to go bigger around that. And obviously as well, you'll hear on the album, there's kind of like this whole acoustic led to the record, which never existed before lockdown. But because of the lockdown, I only had access to an acoustic guitar, my piano, my keyboard. And I was back at my parents' in my bedroom where I grew up in Lincolnshire. So I set up literally like a little home bedroom setup, and that's where I finished the record. And I think I listened to way too much Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks, and out
no such thing as too much.
No, I know. And out popped all of these acoustic songs, which I really loved. And I was like, do you know what? This is how I want to tail end finish the album. I want all of these songs to be within it as well. So you've kind of got like these late night campfire vibe songs within the record. And I feel like there's something really up close and like really raw and vulnerable about them songs. And they're the songs like Thank You for the Hell, Set in Stone, and that kind of vibe. And Northern Lights, that's one of my favorite tracks on the whole album.
Northern Lights, so that must be a nod, obviously, to your northernness.
It is.
You mentioned just before we went live that you've actually nabbed your home piano. Does that mean that it doesn't come back with you when you were back home during lockdown? Have you like officially stolen it?
I officially stole it. I stole it after. So this year, when everything is like kind of started coming back and we can start to get back to doing live performances again, we was talking about, for this whole campaign, I wanted to take a baby grand on the road. And I don't know, I was just like, do you know what? Why don't I take the one that I grew up on with? And everyone's like, oh, like it's going to get damaged along the way. And I was like, it's kind of battered anyway. And it always was out of tune. So I spoke to my mum and dad, and whether they liked it or not, I was taking it. So I ended up with spray painted the whole thing white, and I've handwritten all my lyrics all over this piano
Wow.
for the whole album and stuff, which is really cool. So like literally as I'm playing, I'm looking at like my word vomit, which is really cool, and I love it. And to be honest, I think it's nice because my mum says like seeing it get use, like how it used to when I used to live at home, is so nice for her. She's like, know that it's traveling with you, and for me as well, it's like a piece of home coming on the road with me. So it is really cool to have it on.
Oh, that is so nice. Guys at home, remember you can get your own questions to Ella about the album. Just put them in the comment section. One more before we do that. I noticed on the inside note that you thank many people, and that includes Major Toms, aka Record Club alumni, Rudimental's label, and Rudimental. How is it working with them and their label in the release of this record?
Ever since I met the Rudimental boys, they were like naughty big brothers, and they're family. Like once you're in the Rudy family, that's it. And you know what? They just really helped me at a stage of my life where I think having them come in, like I couldn't have wanted. You couldn't have asked and wanted anymore, because they just really helped me with my confidence. I think I'd gone from doing so much so young to then like I was still working and writing and collaborating with other artists, but for myself, like I just needed like a solid unit and a back in, and I feel like those boys just came into my life at the right time. And obviously I signed my record deal, and then they took me on the road with them, and I did a tour with them, and it was the first time I got back up on stage and sang live again in front of a crowd. And I was so nervous, and doing it for them, though it was their show, and like seeing people in the crowd being like, is that Ella? Oh my God. And then they like, by the start of the tour, I was like so scared. By the end of the tour, I was literally like head banging, like running around the stage in trainers. And it was just such a freeing experience. Cause like, I think when you come into it so young as well, you don't realize, how scared you probably were of certain things, whereas I think it just really allowed me to open up and grow and evolve as an artist and develop in a really natural way.
Oh, that is amazing. That sounds like the tour was so much fun and it's prepped you in like the best way for what you've got coming
I
up.
needed it. I could like it was like, yeah, honestly, I needed it. It was like a blessing in disguise meeting those boys, and you even just ever since, like they're just really close. They're like family, and having the backing of those four creatives behind me is just an amazing thing, because you've always just got like I don't know, not even just a second pair of ears. You've got four sets.
That's so true. All right, so we have some questions coming in. Benson on the official charts Twitter has asked, what was the inspiration behind Set in Stone from the album?
So Set in Stone it's probably the most vulnerable track on the whole album. And even how it's recorded on the day is literally, that's how it is on the record. So I wrote this song at my writing camp last summer, and it was actually in Ed Sheeran's studio in Decoy Studios in Suffolk. And I hired the whole thing out for 2 weeks, had some of my favorite writers and producers come down, and it was actually myself and Rob Harvey and one of my closest soul sister songwriters called Olivia Sebastianelli. And that day in particular, we was in the studio, and Rob got a sad phone call that his uncle had passed away, and he obviously couldn't get there in time to say goodbye. And we all just ended up having this kind of open-ended chat, like, there's no pressure today. Let's not even write. Let's just go for a walk. And we did. And then it started to absolutely throw it down with rain. So we came back into the studio, and naturally, Rob picked up the guitar and just started playing this riff. And I was like, keep going, keep going. And I literally picked up the SM7 mic and outpoured Set in Stone. We just started writing it, and it was beautiful, because out of something so sad was born this song all about being really nostalgic and remembering everything right now, and like not taking time for granted. And like the main lyric is, these memories will be set in stone. And how we make memories with people, and we don't know how long we've got on this planet, so we may as well make the most of it. So yeah, and I think it's really beautiful, because obviously we was inspired by the story of his uncle, but when I was singing it, I was just thinking of like my mum, my dad growing up. I was thinking of my fella in my life now, and everything that like means something to me is where this song kind of stems from. And there was an amazing moment as well. Rob recorded it live on guitar, and I was in the booth with him live on vocals, and that's exactly how we recorded it. And it was raining, and I'll never forget, the rain stopped as we was recording, and the sun came out, and this ray of sunshine hit Rob's hands on the strings, and we both looked at each other, and we both started welling up. So we was both in the booth, like by the end of it, we was crying our eyes out. But yeah, it was just a really vulnerable moment, and that is how that was recorded. Apart from having it mixed better. I was literally like, this is how it goes on the album. We're not changing it. Like, it has to be like this. And so yeah, it's a really personal song.
Oh my God, you're literally going to get me crying here. Like, but I was like goosebumps when you said the ray of light. I was like, oh, okay. Before I actually start crying, Tom Thompson on the Record Club's page says, "Hey Ella, do you feel that much of the message in this new album is pushing against some of the pressures of being on X Factor?"
I wouldn't say it's got anything to do with X Factor or that in itself, you know, because my memories of X Factor especially are like when I was 16, I absolutely loved it. And
I
I
was
don't know
voting for
where,
you.
yeah, thank you. I don't know where that level of confidence came from me to do it, because I tell you what, at 26 years old right now, I could never go on a TV show live every Saturday and Sunday and be judged for my singing. That terrifies me. But I do think, do you know what? It was actually when I made the decision to take a step back from everything and take a bit of a break. That's when I started to actually have my first ever experiences of wobbles, of anxiety. And I think it's because when I'm busy and I do so much and I just kind of, I get into the rhythm of things and I go for it, I'm kind of so distracted by everything. But when you have a lot of time on your hands to really reflect on things and it hits you, I think they're the moments where actually you kind of analyze everything, and sometimes you can begin to overanalyze your own life. And I know for me, as much as my career was going amazingly, I felt very lonely in my life because I was living in London. All my friends and family lived back up north. I never felt like London felt like home. I didn't really know where I wanted to live. I didn't even know like the parts of London that I liked. And I don't know, it was just a really bizarre time in my life. And dating some absolute toads and just making the wrong decisions, really. And
It's all content. It's all good content.
yeah, exactly. And just making mistakes. But I'm just so thankful that I did, because I honestly wouldn't have this album if I didn't live the life that I needed to do, like live. And I wouldn't have this album. And I also wouldn't be in the headspace, aside from my music, I wouldn't be sat here now being able to talk to you right now. Like, I'm just so glad I took that time, because I think if I'd have just churned another album out and done it, I don't think I would be, you know, just like mentally all right. I think I'd be really struggling. And you know, you've got to do what's right for you and trust the timing of your own life, definitely. And for me, I needed to do a lot of self-work and things that I'd never, like, I didn't believe for a long time that what the feelings and emotions I was having was anxiety. And I think once I started to tap into that and understand it and open up and talk about it, started speaking with a therapist, then there's songs like Emotions on the album, which is track 1, which is literally me saying, like, I'm so sick of my emotions, they get in the way, I wish I could put them on silent and put them in the grave. Like, that is me. When things
Such a
just
bop
get
as well.
yeah, exactly. But it's making I want everyone to kind of, with this album, see the light at the end of the tunnel with difficult situations or scenarios, and also flipping things on their head. So like you said, ugly is all about embracing your flaws. It's not about like, what does even ugly mean? Like, because it's just a label, and the same as like beauty is just a label. It can be whatever we want it to be.
Okay, we've got time for one more. Zach on the Record Club's Facebook page says, "Hey Ella, I love the new album. Which song are you most excited to perform on tour and why?"
Ooh, do you know what? I got to have a good feel of my show the other night for the launch, but I think I'm gonna have to add "What About Us" into my set, just because it's a proper. It's like it's a breakup song and all about getting over someone, but I just love how it's like a bittersweet disco groove to it, and it's got such a cool guitar riff, and it's got a saxophone drop in it, which I've never done in my life, but I just love it. So maybe I'll add that into my set, and I can't wait to perform that. But to be fair, like, seeing how Ugly and Good Things Take Time went down the other night, I cannot wait to get back up on stage and perform them again.
Oh my God, that is going to be so good. So tour is round the corner. You've got you're playing with the script.
I am. Yeah. I'm going on tour with the script in May and June. And we're doing all of the UK and Europe, which is going to be an absolute blast. And then I'm doing my own tour in October, and there's still tickets available for that. So make sure you grab some.
With the script, do you know them? Is this something like you're going to be able to? Is a collaboration going to be coming at the end of it?
I hope so. Danny and I from the scripts have written quite a few times, but we've never put anything out that we've written. But we are very close and really good friends, and he's supported me from literally back in the days of Ghost. So yeah, we really get along, and they're such a fun and just such a lovely bunch of lads. So I'm really excited to get on the road with them. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Do you have a sort of homecoming? Is there a show in Lincolnshire that you're doing? Is that going to be a big
We was
homecoming one?
Do you know what? We was talking about doing it, and potentially we might. I think the closest one that I'm doing to home is, I think I'm doing one in Leeds and obviously one in Manchester. And we're figuring out the logistics at the moment, because I really want the shows on my tour especially, I want them to be super, super intimate. I want the fans to really feel like they're there and this is a night to remember. So we are talking about it at the moment. Who knows? I might add a few dates or add a special date on. And I think because of COVID, everyone's bloody getting back on tour, and we're all like trying to fight for venue spaces. But I would love to do something back in my hometown. That'd be really cool.
Oh, amazing. Well, Ella, thank you so much for joining us on the Record Club.
Thanks
That
for
is
having me.
all. Yeah, that's all we have time for. But we do actually, we have the announcement for the headphones. Of course, though, make sure this is all a bit about everything I didn't say. Make sure to get your own copy from your local record store. Ella's on tour as well. Copy your tickets. And we're very excited to announce that this week's winner of the Bowers and Wilkins Wireless Headphones Prize is Tom Thompson on the Record Club's Facebook page. So make sure to slide into the Record Club's DMs. We'll get those headphones to you. You can listen to Ella's album in some amazing headphones. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and sending in your questions. Our next guest is going to be announced on the Record Club's social media very soon. So make sure you're following us. Plus, of course, all previous episodes are available to watch back on our YouTube channel. See you soon. And Ella, thank you once again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.